Cast it into the fire. Destroy it. No. Elrond and Isildur's exchange in Peter Jackson's film adaptation of The Fellowship of the Ring. Cast it into the fire, Elrond had urged. Destroy it now, and end this evil forever. But Isildur, entranced by the golden band, had simply replied, no, before turning away, carrying with him the seed of future calamity. The same sequence, but from Ian Chesterfield's novelization, itself adapted from Jackson's film. This interaction between Elrond and Isildur is among the most pivotal moments in the Lord of the Rings mythos, and by comparing these two versions of it, we can explore the distinct strengths of film and prose as narrative forms, and understand the contrast in how storytelling changes when it switches medium. In the film, the exchange is distilled into two brief lines. Cast it into the fire. Destroy it. No. No. A single jarring word is all the audience hears from Isildur. It's a moment heavy with tension, built not from exposition, but from performance. Prose, on the other hand, has the luxury to elaborate and interpret. The moment is contextualized and moralized. The prose doesn't just show the event, it explains its meaning. To further explore these differences, this video will look at one part of the story in both the film and the novelization of The Fellowship of the Ring. First, we'll watch a short clip from the film. Then, we'll read the matching chapter from the novelization. Since films move quickly and can show a lot in just a few minutes, while novels often take pages to describe the same events, we'll break the novelization chapters into short passages. After each passage, we'll stop to talk about what works well in the novel, what might be stronger in the film, and how each version tells the story in its own way. We'll go back and forth like this until we've worked through the whole chapter. At the end, we'll wrap everything up by thinking about what each medium does best, where they might struggle, and how comparing them helps us understand the story in a new way. By the time we're finished, we'll have a much clearer idea of how storytelling changes when it moves from screen to page, and why that matters. Let's begin.
His strength returns. That wound will never fully heal. He will carry it for the rest of his life. And yet to have come so far, still bearing the ring, the hobbit has shown extraordinary resilience to its evil. It is a burden he should never have had to bear. We can ask no more of Frodo. Gandalf, the enemy is moving. Sauron's forces are massing in the east. His eye is fixed on Rivendell. And Saruman, you tell me, has betrayed us. Our list of allies grows thin. His treachery runs deeper than you know. By foul craft, Saruman has crossed orcs with goblin men. He's breeding an army in the caverns of Isengard, an army that can move in sunlight and cover great distance at speed. Saruman is coming for the ring. This evil cannot be concealed by the power of the elves. We do not have the strength to fight both Mordor and Isengard. Gandalf, the ring cannot stay here. This peril belongs to all Middle-earth. They must decide now how to end it. The time of the elves is over. My people are leaving these shores. Who will you look to when we've gone? The dwarves? They hide in the mountains seeking riches. They care nothing for the troubles of others. It is in men that we must place our hope. Men? Men are weak. The race of men is failing. The blood of Númenor is all but spent, its pride and dignity forgotten. It is because of men the ring survives. I was there, Gandalf. I was there 3,000 years ago. When Isildur took the ring, I was there the day the strength of men failed. Isildur, hurry! Follow me! I led Isildur into the heart of Mount Doom, where the ring was forged, the one place it could be destroyed. Cast it into the fire! Destroy it! No. Isildur! It should have ended that day, but evil was allowed to endure. Isildur kept the ring. The line of kings is broken. There's no strength left in the world of men. They're scattered, divided, leaderless. There is one that could unite them, one who could reclaim the throne of Gondor. He turned from that path a long time ago. He has chosen exile. Shards of Narsil. Ding, 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 ding. Blade that cut the ring from Sauron's hand. Ah. Still sharp. But no more than a broken heirloom. Cling, cling. Why do you fear the past? You are Isildur's heir, not Isildur himself. You are not bound to his fate. The same blood flows in my veins. The same weakness. Your time will come. You will face the same evil, and you will defeat it. Azira noch nog nog ne nog nie. Eni khanu nakheni khanaminoma. Nayama. Yenechno nakhreniama. Yenechno nakhreniama. Khanami nakhreniama. Yakhni makhani khabanir. Nakhi khwe khanam khemba. You said you'd bind yourself to me, forsaking the immortal life of your people. And to that I hold. I would rather share one lifetime with you than face all the ages of this world alone. I choose a mortal life. You cannot give me this. It is mine to give to who I will, like my heart.
Next, we'll read the first passage from the chapter of the novelization, and then compare and analyze the differences. From a high balcony overlooking the terraces below, Gandalf and Lord Elrond observed the hobbits in thoughtful silence. "His strength returns more swiftly than I anticipated," Elrond remarked, his keen eyes noting how Frodo moved with increasing ease. "The wound will never truly heal," Gandalf replied solemnly.
It will remain with him always, a shadow upon his spirit that time cannot fully dispel.
Yet to have carried such a burden so far, resisting its influence. Elrond's voice held a note of wonder. These halflings possess remarkable resilience to dark powers.
It is a weight he should never have been forced to bear,
Gandalf said, regret colouring his words.
We can ask no more of him than what he has already given.
Elrond's expression grew grave as he turned from the view. Gandalf, the enemy's forces gather in the east. Sauron's gaze has turned toward Rivendell, and now you tell us Saruman has betrayed us. Our allies dwindle while shadows multiply.
His treachery runs far deeper than what I told you,
Gandalf said grimly.
Through forbidden arts, he has created a new breed of warrior, a fusion of orc and man that can move in daylight and cover vast distances without tiring. Even now, they marshal in the depths of Isengard. Saruman knows the ring is here, and he will come for it.
Elrond moved away, his footsteps soundless on the polished floor.
This malevolence cannot remain concealed by elven power. We lack the strength to contend with both Mordor and Isengard simultaneously.
He paused, fixing Gandalf with an intense gaze. The ring cannot stay within these borders. Gandalf turned toward the window once more, watching as new arrivals passed through Rivendell's gates. A proud man of Gondor, followed by an elf of the woodland realm, and a stout dwarf warrior.
This peril threatens all of Middle-earth,
Elrond continued.
All free peoples must determine how to confront it,
not merely for themselves, but for generations yet unborn. He approached Gandalf once more. The era of the elves draws to its close. My people depart these shores for the undying lands. To whom will you look when we have gone? The dwarves? They burrow in their mountain halls, consumed by their quest for treasure and indifferent to the suffering of others.
Perhaps it is to men that we must entrust our hope,
Gandalf suggested quietly. Elrond's expression hardened.
Men?
Contempt edged his voice.
Their lineage falters.
The noble blood of Númenor has all but vanished from their veins, its dignity and honour forgotten to time. It was men's weakness that allowed the ring to endure. His eyes grew distant as memory transported him across 3 millennia. I stood beside Isildur when he claimed the ring. I witnessed the moment when the courage of men failed. The memory unfolded vividly before him. The scorching heat of Mount Doom, the acrid fumes that filled the air, the exhaustion of battle still weighing upon them both as they stood at the precipice.
Cast it into the fire,
Elrond had urged.
Destroy it now, and end this evil forever.
But Isildur, entranced by the golden band, had simply replied,
No,
before turning away, carrying with him the seed of future calamity. Elrond's focus returned to the present, his expression heavy with the burden of that memory.
The threat should have ended that day,
he told Gandalf. Yet evil was permitted to survive because one man could not overcome his desire. Isildur kept the ring, and with his fall, the royal lineage was fractured. No strength remains in the world of men now. They stand divided, scattered across the land without true leadership or unity.
There is one who could unite them,
Gandalf countered.
One who could reclaim the throne of Gondor and lead them once more.
Elrond's expression softened slightly, a flicker of old affection crossing his features. He chose exile long ago, turning from that destiny. That path is no longer his.
This opening passage from the novelization offers a striking example of how prose as a medium brings unique strength to storytelling that differ from what the film could accomplish, while also revealing some of prose's limitations when compared to the visual and performative richness of cinema. The foremost strength here lies in the depth of introspection and emotional nuance prose affords. The scene is rich with internal weight, Elrond's regret, Gandalf's burdened wisdom, and the looming sense of history pressing upon the present. Additionally, prose allows the passage to stretch temporally and spatially. Elrond's memory of Isildur unfolds seamlessly, folding the ancient past into the present conversation. There's a fluidity here that isn't bounded by the linear constraints of editing or scene transitions present in film. Memory in prose can be immediate and vivid, without requiring flashback effects. It simply is. The words allow the past to bleed into the now with a kind of ease that only the written word can sustain without breaking narrative momentum. However, this very strength, depth through detail, can also be a limitation. Where film often relies on visual shorthand and the efficiency of performance to keep momentum, prose like this may feel overly dense or ponderous to some readers. The solemnity of tone is unrelenting, and without the dynamic contrast that an actor's delivery, set design, or cinematography can provide, the atmosphere risks becoming static. This mood works well for gravitas, but film can heighten the tension through pacing, staging, and visual juxtapositions. The cut from Elrond's memory of Isildur's failure back to the present day, for instance, achieves dramatic weight in seconds, whereas in the novel, fulfilling the same effect takes paragraphs. Let's continue.
Night had descended upon Rivendell, wrapping the valley in velvet darkness, pierced by the gentle glow of elven lamps. In a shadowed gallery housing relics of an earlier age, a solitary figure observed from the darkness, as a proud man in travel-worn garments approached an ancient fresco depicting a pivotal moment in history. The newcomer, Boromir of Gondor, gazed in wonder at the wall painting, Isildur standing triumphant over the fallen form of Sauron. His attention then shifted to a cloth-covered plinth, where fragments of a broken sword rested, displayed with reverence despite their shattered state. "The shards of Narsil," he whispered, awe evident in his voice. "The legendary blade that severed the ring from the Dark Lord's hand." Boromir reached out, lifting one fragment with careful hands. His finger brushed against the edge, and a small bloom of crimson appeared on his skin. "The edge remains keen, even after all these centuries," he murmured, then sensed the presence of the observer in the shadows. His gaze shifted from the sword fragment to the silent watcher, a flicker of recognition, or perhaps premonition, passing between them. "Yet it remains nothing more than a broken heirloom," Boromir concluded, replacing the shard with less care than before. The fragment clattered to the floor as he turned and walked away. The watcher emerged from the shadows, a weathered ranger with noble features, partially concealed beneath several days' growth of beard. He approached the altar, carefully retrieving the fallen piece of history and returning it to its resting place with reverent hands. He bowed his head briefly before the display, as if in prayer or remembrance. "Why do you fear what lies in your past?" a melodious female voice asked from behind him. The ranger turned to find the beautiful elven woman, her scars fully healed and flawless in her appearance, regarding him with eyes that held both compassion and challenge. "You carry Isildur's blood, but you are not Isildur himself," she continued, stepping closer. "His fate need not determine yours."
"The same weakness flows through my veins," the ranger replied, his voice low with self-doubt. "The same frailty of character that failed our world once before."
"Your moment will come," she countered gently, reaching out to touch his face. "You will confront the same evil that he faced, but your choice will be different." She slipped into the melodious language of her people, her words flowing like water over stone.
I see a dual, a thora haragon, a lay anin.
The shadow has not claimed victory yet, not over you, and not over me.
This prose passage draws richly from the literary strengths of the written form, delving into introspection, atmosphere, and internal symbolism in ways that the film, for all its immediacy and visual grandeur, handled differently and more economically. The greatest asset of the written medium here is its ability to saturate the scene with tone and thematic resonance without needing to show everything. The opening line, quote, "Night had descended upon Rivendell, wrapping the valley in velvet darkness," end quote, evokes mood with a tactile metaphor, something the film could only attempt to render visually, using evocative lighting and cinematography. But here, the language itself participates in the atmosphere, setting the emotional register for the scene. The quiet reverence of the gallery, the weight of ancient history made physical through artifacts, and the unspoken tension between Boromir and Aragorn all unfold in prose with deliberate pacing and a controlled layering of mood, history, and psychology. But again, prose faces certain limitations where the film excelled. The visual symbolism of the broken sword, the drop of blood, or the figure stepping from the shadows was far more immediate and visceral in the movie. Film also condenses. This same scene only lasted a minute or two, using composition and movement to convey the same meaning, whereas the written version lingers, sometimes to the point of slowing momentum. The richness of the introspective tone, while emotionally effective, lacks the punch or immediacy a visual cut might deliver. The passage works best in moments of quiet confrontation, but could feel inert if not carefully balanced within a larger narrative arc. Let's continue.
Night blanketed the valley in stillness, the stars burning with uncommon brilliance overhead. On a stone bridge, arching over one of Rivendell's countless waterfalls, the ranger and the elven woman stood together, the jewel at her throat catching the moonlight.
Renech I lui arun gavanam.
She asked softly.
Do you remember when we first met?
Nayathana ainedala reninanan,
He replied in the same tongue.
I believed I had wandered into a dream.
She reached up, her slender fingers brushing against the silver, threaded through his dark hair at the temples.
Quininin in aninanich.
She observed.
Uanach in nach I si selish. Long years have passed since then. You did not carry the burden that now weighs upon you.
Her gaze softened as she studied his weathered features.
Renich I beth I penen. Do you remember what I promised you?
She took his hand beneath both of hers, her touch gentle, but firm with resolve.
You spoke of binding your fate to mine,
he said quietly, reverting to the common tongue.
Of surrendering the immortal life of your people.
And I stand by those words,
she whispered.
I would rather share a single lifetime at your side than face all the ages of this world in solitude.
The ranger looked down to find that she had pressed something into his palm, the luminous pendant she had worn at her throat, its radiance seeming to pulse with her very heartbeat.
I cannot accept this,
he protested. Her fingers closed his around the jewel.
What is mine to bestow as I choose,
she told him with gentle firmness.
Just as I have chosen where to place my heart.
She leaned forward, her lips meeting his, in a kiss that contained both promise and sacrifice, sealing a bond that transcended the boundaries of their separate worlds.
This final passage is a prime example of prose leaning into emotional intimacy and symbolic resonance in a way film struggles to match without falling into sentimentality. It showcases one of the most enduring strengths of the written medium, its ability to render deeply personal moments, not just as events, but as emotional topographies. The rhythm of the prose is unhurried, lyrical, and deliberate. It lets silence speak just as much as the dialogue. The setting, Rivendell under starlight, a stone bridge over cascading water, acts not only as a backdrop, but as a metaphorical space, suspended between worlds, just like the characters themselves. This is the kind of thematic layering prose excels at. There's no need to rush, no requirement for dramatic motion. Instead, the scene lingers in stillness, allowing the reader to absorb every glance, every touch, every line of Elvish as something mystic rather than melodramatic. Still, the very things the prose does best, its quietude, its introspection, its abstracted symbolism, are also what might cause a scene like this to falter in a different medium. In a visual medium, you're forced to externalize feeling. The film attempted to capture this moment's depth through visual beauty and poignant performances, but without voiceover narration, the viewer has less access to interiority. In summary, this chapter reveals prose's singular ability to explore emotion, memory, and perspective with an intimacy film cannot always match. At the same time, it lacks the visual immediacy and pacing advantages that make films so compelling. Each medium offers its own palette. Prose paints with thought and voice, film with image and sound. Thank you for watching this comparative analysis. Next time, we'll be comparing the Council of Elrond scene with the corresponding chapter in the novelization and analyzing the differences.
Take care, and if you're listening to this, please send help.